to bring the war in Iraq to a responsible end. Shortly after taking office, I announced our new strategy for Iraq and for a transition to full Iraqi responsibility. And I made it clear that by August 31st, 2010, America's combat mission in Iraq would end. And that is exactly what we are doing, as promised and on schedule. But make no mistake, our commitment in Iraq is changing from a military effort led by our troops to a civilian effort led by our diplomats. And as we mark the end of America's combat mission in Iraq, a grateful America must pay tribute to all who served there.
Taking aim once again at Israel and the United States, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad repeated inflammatory comments that he made 3 years ago, saying Israel would soon disappear. Ahmadinejad first made the remarks in 2005, fueling international outrage and speculation that he was threatening the Jewish state with a nuclear weapon. But while speaking at a ceremony honoring the late founder of Iran's Islamic Republic, Ahmadinejad told an audience that, quote, this origin of corruption will soon be wiped off the earth's face.
President, and has previously caused a stir by saying that Iran was a friend of the Israeli people. He later retracted this statement and issued a contrary one saying that Israel should be destroyed.
Ahmadinejad also called the U.S. a satanic power that, with God's will, would be annihilated.
The general added that Iran has the capability of targeting bases of
Correspondent Richard Engel has been granted special access to the drawdown, and he's embedded with the troops at Camp Liberty, Iraq. Richard.
Chris, there is a sense now that what we are seeing here in Iraq is truly a historic moment. I know you remember those early days in 2003. You were broadcasting live as the Iraq War began. This combat mission that began in March 2003 and has now cost billions of dollars and more than 4,400 American lives is about to come to an end. Operation Iraqi Freedom will end within the next 2 weeks. We are now at Camp Liberty, which is on the outskirts of Baghdad, embedded with soldiers from the 4th Stryker Brigade. They call themselves the Raiders. They are based at Fort Lewis in Washington State. They are the last American combat troops. Many of them have already left. The ones that are still here are packed up, just waiting for the last orders to leave this country and go home. This might be it. It is local time, almost 10 to 4 in the morning. And I believe we have just seen the last American combat soldier cross into Kuwait. Yes, the gates are closing right now. This Stryker passing right now represents the last American combat troops in Iraq.
Eyewitness reports suggest around a dozen US warships and aircraft carriers, as well as one Israeli warship, have passed through the Suez Canal, supposedly heading towards the Persian Gulf. If reports are true, the move might be in connection to the US self-inflicted embargo against Iran, aimed at inspecting Iran-bound ships for suspected goods related to the country's nuclear program. Reportedly, the USS Harry Truman, along with 12 other accompanying ships, including at least one Israeli vessel, passed through the Suez Canal on Friday, as the Egyptian army made extra security measures for their safe passage. Although Egypt's opposition party reportedly warned President Mubarak not to let the American fleet pass through.
Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, Iran's president. He vows to destroy Israel. Quote, wipe Israel from the pages of history. Wipe them off the map. Time is running out. Soon the world's most dangerous regime will have the world's most dangerous weapon, the atomic bomb. So how does our president respond to the threat against our ally Israel? by condemning Israel for building homes in Jerusalem, its capital, by snubbing Israel's prime minister when he came to Washington, and by coddling the Iranian regime. Now, even Obama's own defense secretary, Robert Gates, warns the president he has no plan to deal with a nuclear Iran. If you were Israel, would you feel safe in Barack Obama's hands? Tell the White House that keeping Israel safe helps keep America safe.
And Iran and Israel are both holding large-scale drills within their borders. Iran's three-day military exercise is codenamed Jerusalem 2. It is being held at Esfahan, where its nuclear technology center is located. Troops are participating in defense drills in case of attacks. They're preparing for a day or night barrage. Meanwhile, Israel is holding a dress rehearsal for disaster. The drill will test the response of soldiers, emergency crew and civilians to simulate missile barrages, terrorist attacks and chemical strikes. The five-day exercise is the biggest in Israel's history. The country denies it's in preparation for war.
Iran warned Saturday that if the Islamic Republic is attacked, it is capable of firing 11,000 rockets at enemy bases within a minute of the attack. A general in the elite Revolutionary Guards, Mahmoud Shahbagi, was quoted in the Fars news agency saying if war breaks out in the future, it will not last long because we will rub their noses in the dirt.
Russia says it will launch Iran's first nuclear power plant next week. The Russian Nuclear State Corporation, which is building the Bushehr plant, announced the reactor will be loaded with nuclear fuel on August the 21st. Well, let's get more on this now from RT's Katerina Azarova. Katia, the opening of the nuclear plant will be a big day for Iran, won't it? The event that's been delayed several times now. So have Russia and Iran settled all the issues over the plant?
Alice, it does seem that all the details have been hammered out. Of course, the start date of the Bushehr power plant, Iran's first nuclear power plant, has already been delayed a number of times. The construction originally began in 1970s. It was underdone by the German side, but after the Iranian Revolution, construction was halted and then picked up by Russia in the 1990s. Originally, the launch date was planned for around the year 2007, but Iran ran into a few financial difficulties, not being able to pay its bill in full, and therefore the launch date was delayed. Of course, now the Russian Nuclear Agency is saying that the date of the launch is to be August 21st. That's just...
Eyewitness reports suggest around a dozen US warships and aircraft carriers, as well as one Israeli warship, have passed through the Suez Canal, supposedly heading towards the Persian Gulf. If reports are true, the move might be in connection to the US self-inflicted embargo against Iran aimed at inspecting Iran-bound ships for suspected goods related to the country's nuclear program. Reportedly, the USS Harry Truman, along with 12 other accompanying ships, including at least one Israeli vessel, passed through the Suez Canal on Friday, as the Egyptian army made extra security measures for their safe passage. Although Egypt's opposition party reportedly warned President Mubarak not to let the American fleet pass through.